Did you know that the average consumer has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 credit cards in their wallet? This is probably why 90% of Americans tend to buy things that they can't afford, which more than likely accounts for the fact that over 50% of all serious marital problems are financially related. Okay, so on a positive note, Americans really are starting to ask for more advice when it comes to their finances. The number of people consulting financial advisors has risen dramatically over the last decade. The number of books, magazine articles, and radio talk shows that are espousing financial wisdom have skyrocketed. Hey, even Dr. Phil and Oprah are getting into the act. And not only are more and more people asking for advice, they are more committed than ever to following it. According to George Barna, master pollster, the #1 New Year's resolution in 2006, for the first time ever, getting out of debt. Okay, so I gotta ask, if Americans are asking for advice and they're more committed than ever to following it, then why in a recent year did 850,000 people file for bankruptcy? That's more than during the entire Great Depression. Well, recently, a group of people in your company began to wonder if America's financial problems were deeper than in just finding the ultimate mutual fund. They began to wonder if the problems were not so much financial ones as spiritual ones. This, in turn, led them to investigate whether or not God had anything to say about money in what Christians believe is his letter to us, the Bible. The answer? A resounding yes.
Even if you're not a religious person or don't even believe in the Bible, you might be interested to know that while the Bible has about 500 passages on prayer and another 500 concerning faith, it has over 2,350 passages on money. Throughout these passages, roughly 10 solid principles emerge that concern how God advises us to handle our finances.
Our fearless financial renegades found these principles to be so profound that they actually began to apply them to their own personal finances. The results were life-changing.
The biggest principle and impact in my life is about perspective, and that God is the provider of all the things that I need. The pressure's not on me.
The most impactful area of the study for me was learning the concept of ownership. Whether that be my home, my retirement plans, my career. And the older I get and the more I study in these areas, I realize that everything that we have has been a gift. And expressing that to my wife and my children and to my clients has been very, very impactful.
Personally, I would say with the financial principles, it's helped me clean up my household, eliminate any consumer debt I had, and really focus on what is important in the way of raising my kids, teaching them about saving and giving, and making sure that we don't incur any more consumer debt.
Previously to taking Crown, I'd always thought of money as being my money. And once I understood that God owns all things, including money, whenever I make a spending decision, it's really now become more of a spiritual decision rather than a spending decision.
I think one of the things that I was really struck with is the whole area of contentment. As I look around at the families that I work with and with how I interact with friends and neighbors and just society in general, there seems to be a profound lack of contentment. And this idea that regardless of the circumstances, that I have purpose to my life and that I can find joy and contentment is something that I think our world is in desperate need of.
Probably the one most important principle that I get from the Bible is that it's more blessed to give than receive.
We used to give at the end of the year what we felt like giving to our church and community, and now, based on God's principles, we were giving every paycheck we get 10% back to the church. And it just feels awesome because that's our obligation. We've been richly blessed and therefore charged to richly take care of other people.
90% goes a lot further than 100% ever did. So for me, giving freed me. I do that first.
Well, once these people experience profound changes in their outlook regarding their own personal finances, we just couldn't help but wonder if maybe it was affecting the advice they were giving to their clients. Here's what they answered.
I feel so much more equipped in my business to truly be a financial advisor because I can advise them on God's principles. The worldly principles I knew really well, but to learn about God's principles and apply them with my clients. Oftentimes they might not even know the source documents of the Bible, but when I'm talking about these things, I feel like I'm impacting them in a way that's greater than the world. It's of God, and that's truly important to me, and hopefully becomes very important to them.
Well, in the past, I never considered giving a part of the financial plan, but after reading the Bible and seeing what God had to say about it, I understand that a financial plan that incorporates giving has a great chance of success.
When I'm advising clients, I would always tell clients to focus most importantly on saving money, and as reducing debt was really secondary. Now, while I still encourage clients very much to save money, I always encourage them to take at least some of the money they would be saving to put towards debt reduction so that they can reduce their debts more quickly and be free of those debts.
It's good to have a knowledge of God's principles because it provides the rule book that I in turn use with my clients. I don't ever specifically talk about biblical principles, but just knowing that my advice to them is based on those principles gives me an assurance that I'm leading them in the right way.
It's given me so much more confidence than I had before I went through Crown, because I know when I'm making the recommendations that I'm making at the end of the fact finder and into the close that they're biblically based and they're sound, and I'm totally convicted that what we are recommending is the right thing for our clients to do.
You know, every day your company provides wise counsel to thousands of people in the area of their finances. We'd like to encourage you to take the sound education you've already received just one step further and consider that maybe the Bible really is a viable roadmap to financial wisdom. If you would like to research more closely the principles found in the Bible regarding money, you can do so at www.crown.org. The influence that you could have on the people of America is profound.
Before reading God's Word, I felt the burden and the responsibility of coming up with the priorities for a client's money. After reading God's Word, I realized that He laid it all out in there, and I have great peace of mind knowing that all I'm doing is teaching God's principles, and I've actually found purpose in my life for doing just that.
Well, I think we're in a unique situation and position where we can be really pulling alongside our clients who in many cases have really spent the last 20, 30 years with their head down just trying to accumulate wealth. They've been throwing dollars over their shoulders, trying to make the pile as big as possible, but they've really never lifted their eyes up and looked at the horizon and asked themselves the question, which is, why am I doing this? You know, what's the purpose of this other than possibly just buy more stuff? And so what I really learned from studying some of these different areas is that I have a unique opportunity to pull alongside and begin a dialogue about what is the purpose of wealth? What is the definition of contentment and success?